It's all fun and games till someone gets shot.
Welcome back to the channel, everyone. There's this viral clip that's making its way around the player base right now, and it's about Michael Murray. For those of you who don't know, he is the producer of Tekken. A lot of people misunderstand and think he is like the translator for Harada or Nakatsu, but he does more than just that when you're talking about the way that the game is created and how it's made. Something else that he also did just as kind of like a side hobby was in Tekken 7, he used to live stream. Now, when he live streamed, a lot of people would make fun of his gameplay because his rank wasn't that high and his skill wasn't that good. So when the game started to turn south and he was arguing with people on Twitter, a lot of the people would retaliate against the things he was saying, trying to defend the direction of the game by saying that he's a trash player. Now, I never really backed that conversation because Michael Murray's job is so mysterious to where we don't know exactly what it is that he does for Tekken. Like, he tells us for Tekken 8 that he just tests and give feedback to the guys. He kind of gave direction at the start and would approve like budgeting things when they asked for like more money for story. He would like report those wants to Bandai Namco. So maybe that's more so what his job is about. And really, in order to do that, you don't need to be good at the game. But when you talk about like Harada and Nakatsu, when those guys were leading or are leading, they do need to have a more grounded take of the game. But the reason why this clip is going viral is not because of Michael Murray's skill, it's because of what he's saying. And what he's saying is kind of like what players are feeling right now, what we've been talking about since Tekken 7 Season 3, what we've been talking about since launch of Tekken 8, what we're talking about Season 2, Season 3. The constant war, and it's not even a war between casuals and hardcore players. It's more so just the developers choosing casuals and to cater to them over the hardcore players. And now the reason why they're doing that is because in Tekken Tag Tournament 2, they tried to make a game that is very hardcore based and it didn't work. A lot of people blame the failures of that game on marketing and Call of Duty's dominance that was at the time. When Tekken Tag Tournament 2 released, you had juggernauts like Black Ops 2, Black Ops 1, Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3 releasing, and nothing could compete with those games at that time. Really, I think all of those factors factored into Tekken Tag Tournament 2 performing the way that it did, but the one that the developers constantly bring up is how the game just completely ignored the casuals and catered to the hardcore players. And this is why after Tag 2, they started to cater to casual players, and it paid off in Tekken 7. Tekken 7, you will hear a lot of people describe it as a very good middle ground. People probably would disagree at which season that was, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5.0 update, but it was kind of a good middle ground. You were able to showcase skill. Some things was made easier. The game sold a lot of copies. Those copies were inflated by the pandemic, but still, what we kind of felt like was success was had in Tekken 7. Record-breaking tournament numbers, so many content creators and meme posters popping up out of nowhere. Tekken left the dark ages that Tekken Tag Tournament 2 kind of created. You know, Harada said back then, and also right before he retired, that Tekken Tag Tournament 2 almost killed the franchise. So Tekken 7 had a lot to recover from. And the developers, I'll repeat again, they feel the sole problem was that they catered to hardcore players and they ignored casuals. So when you see them doing the opposite in Tekken 8, that's kind of why. The scary thing is that they're not necessarily wrong for doing that because they reached 12 million copies in Tekken 7. So of course, looking at it from the perspective of we tried to cater to casuals and it worked, let's do more of that, it makes sense. But at the same time, what they didn't do in Tekken 7 was ignore the hardcore players. So now that that is like a big thing that's going on in Tekken 8, that is where the problems lie. And the way that they're going about, you know, catering to casuals is by reducing the skill ceiling, reducing sidewalking, reducing backdashing, adding a lot of homing attacks that force mix-ups. Mix-ups mean no matter who you are or your skill level, you have to guess. Now, you can make an educated guess based on the player's patterns and play style before leading up to that moment. But it's still a guess. And then when you hear them then start making things easier, that also factors into it as well. Now, this is where this clip comes into play, because a lot of people feel like Tekken 8 is only amplifying what started in Tekken 7. So when you hear Michael Murray sitting here on his loading screen waiting for the match to start, Tekken 7 had very long loading screens. He answers a question from the chat, and then that question is exactly what we're dealing with now. And you can see this, that they had these ideas in Tekken 7, but the game was already made. So when they had the opportunity to make a new game, boom, clean slate, let's make it how we want. Listen to this. The tweet says, "This is one of those moments where I felt like the game producer, Michael Murray, accidentally said the quiet part out loud. If your competitive game isn't skewed towards higher level players, then what you have is a glorified party game." Explains a lot about the current state of Tekken 8. Now let's listen to this.
Speed up sidesteps with 2 frames. Yeah, but then like there was just way too much sidestep in attack too, which was one of the things that made the game skewed just to higher level players.
That's an interesting way to describe your game that has 3D movement. 3D movement means that you can move around in 3 dimensions: forward, back, up, down, left, right. But here you have the producer, who has a big influence over the game, saying that the problem is that you had too much sidestepping, too much freedom, and that was creating this skill gap. And instead of trying to teach players or to make players think about how can we get them to move in a 3D space, they just was like, let's restrict the players who can do it. The players who already learned this ability, let's restrict that, so that people who don't really know how to play the game can hit them and light them up and catch them when they're not supposed to move. This explains Tekken 8, and it also explains why Tekken 8 will never be addressed, because Tekken 8 is that subtle, small little thing that they did to add a little bit of inconsistency to the game, but also make it to where you get clapped. I mean, listen to it again.
Speed up sidesteps with 2 frames. Yeah, but then like there was just way too much sidestep in attack too, which was one of the things that made the game skewed just to higher level players.
Way too much of it. That's like if Street Fighter said there was too much jumping. That's like if Mortal Kombat said there's too many projectiles. That's like if Call of Duty said there's too much shooting going on. 3D movement is everything. And with the developers viewing that as a problem, you can see how Tekken 7 got worse, but you can also see how Tekken 8 started trash. But then when they got those immediate sales and like the positive feedback that they did, they kept going down that path, and now they don't want to stop. Now, I know a lot of time has passed between then when Michael Murray said this and now, and it wouldn't completely be fair to take old clips and apply that to the person almost like, like a decade later almost or something like that. But the reason why it sticks is because this is what the developers are doing. When we looked at the patch notes, it said all of the changes were really around like making characters easier and making them more like, what Tekken 8 is. So it just sucks that this is what gaming has become in the year 2026, where all of the games are saying screw the hardcore audience we've been building up over the majority of our lifespans of the franchise, and we want to just kind of get those casual people who just play a game here and there. They play it for like 10 minutes, buy some skins, show up on a new update, and then they leave. That's really what every person, every developer kind of wants, is that casual player who shows up kind of frequently, not for a long time, doesn't really know too much about the game, so you could change things and like it not really make sense, but they still enjoy it, they still kind of consume it, and then they also give you a bunch of money because they feel satisfied with how you made everything easy and how they were able to progress. It sucks. Tekken 8 is doing it, most other games is doing it, and hopefully conversations like these can slow down the process, at least with Tekken.